He staggered to his feet, and was Samwise the Hobbit, Hamfast's son again. "Now come, you filth," he cried. "You've hurt my master, you brute, and you'll pay for it. We're going on, but we'll settle with you first. Come on and taste it again." As if his indomitable spirit had set its potency in motion, the glass blazed suddenly like a white torch in his hand and flamed like a star leaping from the firmament sears the dark air with intolerable light. No such terror out of heaven had ever burned in Shelob's face before. The beams of it entered into her wounded head and scored it with unbearable pain, and the dreadful infection of light spread from eye to eye. She fell back, beating the air with her forelegs, her sight blasted by inner lightnings, her mind in agony. Then, turning her maimed head away, she rolled aside and began to crawl, claw by claw, towards the opening in the dark cliff behind. And Sam came on. He was reeling like a drunken man, but he came on. And Shelob cowed at last, shrunken in defeat, jerked and quivered as she tried to hasten from him. She reached the hole, squeezed down, leaving a trail of green-yellow slime. She slipped in. Even as Sam hewed a last stroke at her dragging legs, and then he fell to the ground. Shelob was gone, and whether she lay long in her lair, nursing her malice and her misery, and in slow years of darkness healed herself from within, rebuilding her clustered eyes, until with hunger like death she spun once more her dreadful snares, in the glens of the mountains of shadow, this tale does not tell. The elbow. With a squeal, Gollum let go. Then Sam waded in, not waiting to change the staff from left to right. He dealt another savage blow. Quick as a snake, Gollum slithered aside, and the stroke aimed at his head fell across his back. The staff cracked and broke, and that was enough for him. Grabbing from behind was an old game of his, and seldom had he failed in it. With his time, misled by spite, he had made the mistake of speaking and gloating before he had both hands on his victim's neck. Everything had gone wrong with his beautiful plan, since that horrible light had so unexpectedly appeared in the darkness. And now he was face to face with a furious enemy, little less than his own size. This fight was not for him. Sam swept up the sword from the ground and raised it. Gollum squealed, springing aside on all fours. He jumped away in one big bound like a frog. Before Sam could reach him, he was off running with amazing speed backwards towards the tunnel. And sword in hand, Sam went after him. For the moment, he had forgotten everything else but the red fury in his brain and the desire to kill Gollum. But before he could overtake him, Gollum was gone. And then, as the dark hole stood before him, and the stench came out to meet him, like a clap of thunder, he thought of Frodo, and the monster smote upon Sam's mind. He spun around, rushed wildly up the path, calling and calling his master's name. He was too late. So far, Gollum's plot had succeeded. Getting this thing home, if Sam is now the one that's in the driver's seat with the ring in his possession.
Ooh, that's tough. You know what's interesting about that question is, too, it's kind of like the Harry Potter flip, right? Like, Harry, you almost thought Neville was, like, the chosen one there. If this actually happened and it played out where Sam was chosen to, kind of carry out the mission on his own, I believe Sam could, but it's basically a one-way ticket. Like, no one's getting home at that point. I believe he could, based on, I don't want to give anything away, but kind of just even the drive we've seen in Shelob's lair here, and kind of what he shows us at the end, which we don't want to give anything away, but based on his efforts and how he kind of, things he proves later on, which I don't want to give anything away about his tactical ability, I believe he could be very difficult, but at that point, I think, this other companion that we've been traveling with, I think that would come into play, and I think it's basically a one-way ticket. Like, I think he could, but I don't think there's any way of getting out. Very difficult. That's really all I can say about it, because I don't have enough really factual information to go on what if. But that's what I would say is just based on his drive and what he proves later on in the next installment on how he's able to do things. He could, but you're going to have that one variable that plays a big role that we've already kind of seen in this book here as their guide through the marshes. And I think it's a one-way ticket. What about you?
So, if it just takes up from right here, I think it's a, I don't want to say good possibility, but it's definitely a possibility that he could finish it out himself. because we're already so close. Like, we don't know how the variables that I see us having is a couple things. We don't know how fast the ring would start to take a hold on Sam's mind, right? Frodo's had it for the past 5 months and some change or whatever it might be, and so like it's already had a chance to take hold on him over time, and you can see it was starting to wear on him. It was growing heavy, and his mind's not all the way there. Like, he almost gave himself up in Minas Morgul to the King of the Ring Wraiths. So I think it would depend on how fast the ring could like ensnare Sam's mind. That's definitely one big variable. The other variable is, as well, that you mentioned, the other companion that has gone away too. That's going to be a big thing, because it's easier when you've got someone else there to kind of help you if something like that were to arise. So those are two really big ones. And on top of that, he doesn't... Man, this is tough, because let's say he just goes and enters Mordor and leaves Frodo's body behind as he planned on doing. And we got to assume... there's still some tactical things that he would need to learn, like how to just, you're not just going to run straight across the plain and go up to the entrance of Mount Doom. You've got to like avoid being seen. You've got to kind of blend in a way, and that is some things we need to think about, and how could we do it, and if what doesn't happen here and then on the next book, there's a way that they're able to do that and blend in, but again, that's with two people, and again, that not so much included just leaving that area right away. That is, there's other parts that go into it. So point being is that it's definitely possible, because they're so close to it. It's just, it would come down to a few variables, like those things, like, does the ring take hold of Sam's mind quickly? Is it something he can hold off for a little bit? They're already so close to Mordor. Is it something that we can shake off? That's number one. Does another companion come into play where we're in another fight for our lives type of deal? And then how do we enter still undetected? Even though we're in there now, how do we remain unseen and with the ring so close to Sauron? So those are the three caveats there. But I definitely think the likelihood is probably a little bit better than a 50-50 chance. I would probably say, since we're so close to Mordor as it is and no one saw him go past it, we're probably at a 65% chance that he could do it, 45% chance that something goes wrong and he can't. So that's what I would say.